so here's the first part of the question. Do you support this move and why? Number two is dealing with water. Would you be willing to support proposals not specific to pacing the system, or a study on building a reservoir of Payson Canyon? It's $70 million. There's no way Payson can afford it. Is that something that the county should be involved in and that the city should be involved in to make sure that we have water storage?
Well, I'm going to tell you straight up, and there's lots of lights on me because this is the deer in the headlight. So I'm not real well versed in this subject. So I'm not trying to deflect from this subject, but I will say this. I recognize how important water is. And in fact, we have maybe a water problem on the other side of the county where 200,000 people are downstream of some toxic lines where there's going to be development. So again, a deflection is just maybe what I have done there and the attitude that I have taken, the time commitment to fight for water quality, recognizing how important it is. But I would just think that would be an inherent trait that you would see from me because of how important water is. This sustains life. And so I'm sorry I don't know the specifics of this, and I'm sure some of these other gentlemen will. But I have a record of at least knowing and understanding and fighting for water.
I supported Representative McKell in this initiative because it put control where it needed to be, and it also helped to take conflict out of the situation. And as a good practice in governing, that's something you have to be able to do is resolve conflict and make sure that we come up with the right solution on how to handle those particular instances. As far as a dam and looking at long-term water storage, absolutely, and that's something that we can certainly look at bonding for because we have to provide for things in the future. The reason we have water in the south end of the county currently is because a whole bunch of farmers got together. They went up to Strawberry and they built a dam with an idea of delivering water to this end of the county. If we don't have that same foresight and vision, there's no way that our grandchildren will have the same opportunities for deliverable water that we have. And in regards to water, it's essential that we look long-term and that we embrace those long-term solutions because they're absolutely essential for the well-being of our community. And that's something I'm on.
Touching on water, yeah, touching on the water, actually 10 years in the military, my voice was probably carry anyway. But when we look at the water, is South County a major issue in the water area? It absolutely is, but we're missing it if we're not, as commissioners, actually taking a look countywide. There's 1.2 million acres in the county. Of that, roughly 380 acres of that is farmland. We have 60,000 acres under crop production areas. So a lot of that restriction in the agricultural area is because of water. When we look at having a dam and a reservoir placed in Payson, I think it's a great idea, but I haven't seen the full studies being put into place that would also have the seismic issues and all the other things that actually need to take place. But would I be in favor of starting those studies? I would.
I'll admit that I too am not specifically familiar with this particular proposal. However, I believe that the process really works. Representative McKell is very proactive in working with his constituents and the elected officials that are affected by that issue. And as a commissioner, I don't know that my role would be directly to vote on a policy or procedure that would affect that, but I believe that I could be an advocate and a facilitator for those kinds of discussions. I would work with Payson City, the mayor, the city council members, and the other people who are affected by that decision, and work with our elected officials, whether it's Senator Henderson or Representative McKell or other elected officials at the state level, that would need to pass a law in order to facilitate that kind of a transaction to take place, or that type of agreement to take place.
What the county needs, and what it's been lacking, is there isn't a water guru that is charging this as we we head into the future. The problem is, when everyone wants to talk about growth, it's always in the context of transportation. But in the second driest state in the union, you are not going to have any growth if there's no water to grow the food or water for the people to drink and use. So obviously, wouldn't it be something if the money that we bonded, we have $213 million right now in notes, outstanding notes. Our county credit card is maxed out. And wouldn't it be something if we decided to develop a project down in Payson? Those of you that have been to meet and greets, it's been something I've specifically brought up many times, is a need for something up in Payson. And, so absolutely that is something I would support. I would support that far and away and above and beyond a desire to support the county getting into the ice rink business or the museum business or whatever pet project it chooses to be in, whether that's the convention center business. I support us performing our proper role.
Just a quick yes, no, for those of you who are blindsided, I apologize. In general, if the city has an issue like that that would affect thousands of county residents, would you be favored, would you be willing to partner with the city, whether it's Payson or whoever has the opportunity, would you partner on those issues? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, we have to work with our municipalities in good government. It's essential to work together.
When we look at the watershed issues and the criticality of it, we absolutely need to have the county and cities working together, and that's countywide, not just in the south end.
I don't know that my answer is good enough for a yes or no. I would say yes, we would work with them, but if the county is going to specifically pay for something that's going to benefit a city and one city only, I think that's a different conversation. So I'm not sure if I understood the question. Would I facilitate that? Yes. Would I agree to use county tax dollars to pay for a specific city's water? No.
Yes, because we need to be leading the fight for our water. So yes, the county needs to be heavily involved in this type of issue. Yes.
This might be the last question, depending on how long it takes you to answer this. So the possibly last question of the night before you wrap up. The county commissioner seats have just been mentioned already. We talked about people impersonating ecclesiastical leaders and others. The county commissioner seats have been for years about corruption, shady dealings, and even candidates with criminal and immorality issues. I know that if asked, all of you will promise to maintain integrity and remain uncorrupted. But promising that and actually following through have proven to be two different things. What is there in your personal life or daily habits or in your future proactive plans that can help to reassure us that we are electing virtuous and trustworthy officials?
First of all, I want to explain a little bit about how I got into this process. I had a couple of people in my neighborhood ask me to run for commissioner. I told them I didn't want to because I hate politicians. And then a couple of days later, I had Mike Michelle come to my house and ask me what he needed to do to get me to run. And he supported me in this, and I can guarantee he did it because he ran a background check on me. Because Mike's thorough with those types of things. And so that's been done. And specifically in relationship to who I am as a character, I can tell you something very important about the way I was raised. I was raised to not be a respecter of persons. I don't care who you are or where you're from. It's not going to influence my decision about whether something's right or wrong. In my line of work, I deal with clients that have millions and millions of dollars. I deal with clients that scrape together to give me $800 a month to train their horse. Everybody's horse gets out 5-6 times a week. It's work, no matter what your background is or who you're from. And that's just how I've been raised. You treat people the same, and it don't matter who they are, they don't influence you.
That's a question that winds up having to have an awful lot of trust in the people. My background includes working really large-scale projects, and dealing with the people in the State Department in Washington, D.C., and that's a slime pit. I can just tell you that is one really corrupt area. I've got a reputation even there that I'm not interested in lobbyists, I'm not interested in corporate money, I'm not interested in the different areas. I've always used the measure, going back to the oath that I took, where is this in relationship to who I'm supposed to be representing, and anytime I'm doing something in a government position, whether as a contractor, working as an advocate for the government, whatever it happens to be, the people come first. When somebody asks, is it really all about you? Really? The answer is yes, it is. It's all about you.
I don't know if there's any sort of integrity test that you can give someone and really, I mean, even lie detector tests can be effective. I've always been kind of an old school person that you can do a deal on a handshake, and I've taught my kids consistently that telling the truth is more important than being right or wrong. I will look anybody in the eye and tell you that if I make a campaign promise or pledge that I can keep, and there are some that, you know, I really don't know, because sometimes there are going to be things that come up that I don't know about, but I can tell you that I'm not for sale. I can tell you that if you look me in the eye and ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth, even if we differ on our opinions. We can work through differences of opinions as long as we're being honest with each other. The minute that I start to try to tell you something that you want to hear, we cheat the process and cheat the citizens.
The best thing that was ever done for my character values and my integrity was being born to Sharon Ethel Voeks, the most wonderful mother that I've ever seen, who's a wonderful example to our family, and we love my mom. And the reason is every day, my brother's here and he can tell you, every single day, with almost a tedious approach, my mom would recite various character values, including and specifically integrity. She would remind us to thank the lunch lady, be polite at school, reach out to the kid that doesn't have a friend. Those were the values of our family. Those are the ways that we were taught. I think sometimes people wonder, how does Casey have this kind of political involvement? What is he doing? Being raised by a woman who understood that the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. That's the way that I ended up in these roles, and that's the way that I ended up taking the banner forward on these fights. Thank you.
I would just say for me that I have a track record of 50 years of being an honest how old I am. So I feel like I've had integrity my whole life. It's a part of my core value, and it's part of my faith, and it's very important to me. And there's no question that there's been some tarnish to the commission and what it means and the people that are in it. And that's one of the reasons that I felt like I needed to step into this. And that's in humility I say that, because it's hard to talk about yourself in those kind of ways. But I made it a point even in my campaign, if you go on my website, and the people that endorse me, I'm not really heading for the big ones. You know, the people that are in office and things like that, I try to say, what do my neighbors have endorsed me? And then put his name on the people that know me best. And so it's part of who I am, it's part of how I'll stay. No matter what.
Okay, we'd like to appreciate the commissioner candidates. At this point in time, though, we need to close the questions. There are many, many more questions that we can ask. But one of the hopes that I have is that through this process, you have an idea of who the candidates are, and now you can follow up with more specific questions. We want to give you time to talk with them after you've heard from them and maybe follow up on some of their answers to some of the other issues. There are a lot of other big issues, and I'm sure they're quick to tell you about them. But we're at a point where we need to close now, so we'll give you 1 minute to give your final summary speech. We have Mr. Kipp, is that where we are?
Appreciate being here with you and for your coming out because you're the voice of that is representing your community as delegates. The Constitution to me is a vital part of what our country is. And when I look at our platform, and when you're looking at vetting candidates, if you want a checklist, the Republican platform for this county meshes ideally with the Constitution. It talks about family, it talks about educating our children, proper role of parents in the education, it talks about the role of government. So when you're looking at the different areas, look to the different areas that are associated with our platform because it gives you a really good guideline to judge the character and the responses that are given by the people that you're vetting. Thank you.
I love this county. I love this country. I have committed myself to making a difference, whether it's in my professional job or as a concerned citizen, getting involved in issues that matter to my community and my family. As a triathlete, I've done several Ironman races, and I spent a lot of time and effort. I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm going to bring that same spirit, that same passion, and I'm going to be the hardest working commissioner that this county has ever had. I will be at every single committee assignment meeting. I will work with every department head and every staff member to the best of my ability, not just during the hours that I'm supposed to be in the office, but after hours with you, after hours with them, doing whatever it takes to make sure that your tax dollars are well spent, that the services that we provide to you are done in the most cost-effective and efficient manner possible, so that ultimately at the end of the day, when I go to bed at night, I know that I've done my best for you.
In summary, for my remarks tonight, I invite you to please go to my website, CaseyVoeks.com. That will give you the detail on many details on my positions on many different issues. But I think that in my life, especially the time that I've been involved in the community, whether it was my 4,000 volunteer hours at Christy McCullough Space Education Center growing up, or it's the thousands of hours that I gave as the party chairman or as a volunteer campaign manager for Mila when nobody knew who she was. That time and that record, I think, speaks to who I am and what I stand for. So I invite you to please never just place implicit confidence in your public servants, whether it's the people that are running for office here or whoever. Make sure that you scrutinize their conduct, scrutinize their past, look at who they are, look at who they've been, and look at what they stand for and what they claim they'll fight for. I'm a consistent conservative. There's nothing about being a campaign conservative
What would I have you remember me from, the last thing? And I would just say, in the county, I see the dynamics. You have 3 commissioners currently. We would think it would stay that way. And so I would just want you to know that I'm a very independent person in the way that I think. I am very methodical. I take in a lot of information and data. I'm not afraid to go to staff. It's how I've operated in my city, in the business, and it just gets down into the brass tacks of really what a decision is. And then I make that decision, and I do it with decorum, and I represent things with a statesman-like attitude. And so I just want you to know that in me, I think you'll be a leader that you'll be proud of. I won't embarrass you. I'll be inclusive, and I just would like to think that would be the stamp that I would lead any kind of a public service that I work with my family or in the church or whatever.
When I was a kid, our cattle pen had 2 different sections, a big holding area and a little small area where you work the cattle in the squeeze chute. And it had about a 500-pound blue gate that had broken hinges. So my dad had put all 50 pounds of me there, armed with a 2x4. My job was to turn, a raging mad cow back in and not let it get by me. When I stood there, it was scary to see something coming at me like that. But my dad taught me, and I learned from those things, that when we stand with courage and we swing with all we got, we can turn scary things away and succeed. When we look at the federal overreach and the overreach of government and its improper role, the erosion of our rights and liberties that are happening daily, it's scary. But I can guarantee you with absolute confidence in my heart, I've taken on scary things my whole life. I've stood courageously, and I've swung that 2x4, and as your commissioner, I will stand in that gate, I will swing that 2x4, and we will beat back this oppression from the federal government and its overreach into our lives so we can live the American dream.
Thank you so much for being here today, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here and add microphone judgment to this meeting. So I really appreciate all the effort you made to be here, and I see you diligently taking notes. You guys are the best. I really appreciate all the research you're putting into these candidates, and thank you again. And feel free to go out to the foyer and speak with them personally.
Hey, do you know how to use cameras?
Even the day after a loss?
I don't know how to turn this thing off. I don't even know how I turned it on.
It's probably, usually it's on like the
Oh, you know, I think I
sides.
pushed this button right here, power.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I just start pushing buttons randomly.
Perfect. I wasn't the only culprit on that one then.
Oh, no.
Okay,
It was crazy.